I'm Emma McAdam. I'm a licensed therapist. Today we're going to talk about overcoming your fears with exposure therapy. And I'm going to do it myself. Falling! Woo! So if you're new to this channel, I teach mental health skills. So please subscribe if you'd like to learn more. This video is part of my 30-part series, How to Break the Anxiety Cycle in 30 Days. And you can buy the course at a link down in the description. Now, in this video, I'm not going to teach you an anxiety hack or trick. I'm going to teach you the #1 most powerful way to decrease anxiety as backed by research. I'm going to teach you the 6 steps to kicking fear's butt by using exposure therapy. Now, if you want to learn to beat anxiety, one of the most powerful things you can do is learn the skill of facing your fears. And this is a skill that you can learn. But if when you hear, just face your fears, that seems both too simple and too difficult at the same time, and you're like ready to turn this video off, please stay with me for just like 1 more minute, because I'm going to break this skill down into bite-sized chunks that you'll work through little by little. And I'll show you how I do it myself with my fear of falling. I have climbed off and on almost my entire life, but I've never overcome my fear of falling. I used to climb 4 times a week in grad school, and I used to do climbing trips every chance I got. But even though I was a really strong climber, I would climb really difficult routes on top rope. I would climb like 8 grades lower when I was on lead, which is where I might fall. I would climb way below my capabilities in order to avoid any chance of falling. Now, pause that for just a second, because in order to understand how I'm going to do some exposure therapy on myself, let me step back and explain some terms here. There's a couple of different types of climbing. So when you top rope, the rope is already fixed at the top of the climb. So that means that when you fall, you only sink a couple of inches. But when you lead climb, you have to take the rope up with you as you go and hook yourself to the wall with carabiners. So this means that as you climb above your bolt, if you fall double the length of how high you climbed, plus slack and rope stretch. So if I'm 5 feet above my bolt, I'm going to fall 10 feet plus rope stretch, which means maybe like 15-foot fall. Now, as long as you follow the rules, like tying in correctly, belaying correctly, using correct gear, climbing is actually very, very safe, like especially in the gym. So with top roping, I have never been injured, and I've climbed thousands of times. With lead climbing, in a fall, you have the potential to like twist an ankle or get a bruise, but we aren't talking like life-threatening climbing here. That's not the type of climbing I do. I'm not free soloing like Alex Honnold. I'm just scared of like that feeling of falling on a rope. And because I am afraid of taking a lead fall, I've avoided doing really cool routes that I was capable of. I've missed out on the physical and mental growth that comes from stretching myself in that way. And then I've also had to rely on other climbers to set routes for me, which has limited me in a lot of ways. So, lead climbing, totally safe, feels really dangerous. I've avoided it. This is a normal part of anxiety, right? It's normal to want to avoid things that make you anxious, but avoidance locks your brain into this cycle of increasing anxiety. And then avoidance prevents you from learning that the things you fear aren't as dangerous as you think. So the more that I've avoided taking lead falls, the more scared I've become. And also, back when I used to climb a lot, I was a little bit more comfortable lead climbing. But not since having a bunch of kids. So I really haven't done any leading in about 6 years. So that avoidance has made me more anxious about lead climbing. And when I got back to climbing this fall, I was even like really nervous about top roping, which is really safe. Okay. So the cool thing is science has shown us that our brains are really flexible. They adapt and they change depending on what we do. And psychology has developed a really effective way to naturally decrease anxiety and fear called exposure therapy. So you face your fears very, very gradually. And by doing so, your brain learns that you are actually safe and that it turns down your anxiety levels. Exposure therapy is a research-backed effective treatment for phobias, which are fears of situations, PTSD, which is fears of memories and the body sensations, panic attacks, which I think are essentially fears of body sensations, and OCD, which includes a lot of different types of fears, fears of thoughts, fears of contamination, fears of causing harm to others. But I'm going to be using exposure therapy. I'm going to demonstrate it with my fear of falling. Now, you may have tried exposure therapy in the past and it didn't work. That might be for a couple of reasons. One, you may have tried to jump into something that was too scary too soon, which might have put you into the panic zone and actually been re-traumatizing, which reinforces that fear response in your brain. Or the other most common reason is that you only faced your fear once or twice, but then when it still bothered you, you didn't continue. So my problem with fear of falling is I just haven't practiced it enough, and it's been a long time since I did fall. Jeez! The way our brain works, it's naturally plastic, it's naturally adaptable, and the more we avoid something, the more scared we become of it. So during COVID, a lot of people avoided being around people, and a lot of people developed greater social anxiety. Or a lot of people avoided germs more, so they developed greater health anxiety. The more you avoid something, the more scared you are of it. And the more you face something, the more your brain dials down that anxiety. So when exposure is done correctly, it's actually really effective at overcoming fears and anxieties. Exposure therapy is often most effective when you start with the very smallest things, the things that are less scary, and then you just gradually work your way up. And the cool thing about this is, as you work the process, you build up a belief in your ability to do hard things, and you might even learn that you enjoy the things that you once feared. So let's test it out. Here's how you do it. Step 1, choose a fear to work on. I'm going to pick my fear of falling on lead. Okay, step 2, make a personal goal. So remember why you care about this. Focus on why it matters to you more than avoiding your fears, more than just living a comfortable life. Whether it's, so that you can function at your job, or so you can spend more time with your loved ones, or so that you can build up your sense of self. Like, there's something out there that you care about more than you care about just feeling comfortable and avoiding your anxiety. So your motivation here is really essential to your progress. Make it super clear. Make a vision board or write your goal down in a place where you can see it every day. Tell others about your goals so that they can support you and hold you accountable. Imagine if you overcame this fear, how will your life improve? So let's say if you're afraid of dogs, you might say I want to visit my grandchildren who have a dog in their home. It's going to be wonderful when I am able to spend time with them in their home, and visualize how great that'll be. So my goal, I want to get really good at falling so that I can lead climb up really cool routes. So here are some of the routes I'd like to do. Babylicious is this amazing route in my home canyon. It's totally within my ability, but I've never led it because I didn't want to feel scared. I want to be able to climb at my potential and not waste so much energy over gripping while I'm scared. I don't want to have to rely on someone else to lead up the routes that I want to climb. And I want to watch as my fear levels decrease and my confidence increases. Okay, so the next one is step 3. We're going to break this down and make it happen. So step 3 is building a ladder for your fear. Now, psychologists like big words because it makes them feel special. So they call this an exposure hierarchy. So I'm going to make a list of all of the aspects of this fear, and I'm going to start with the simplest ones and move up to the bigger ones. So on a scale from 0 to 10, how scary are the following things? Falling on top rope is a 1. Resting on the rope at the top of top rope is 2. Watching people, videos of people taking falls on lead and studying how to learn to fall correctly is a 1.5. Climbing a lead route that's well within my capabilities is a 3. Taking a 1-foot fall on lead, taking a 3-foot fall on lead, taking a 2-foot fall on lead on a really vertical route, taking a 5 to 10-foot fall, a really long fall on lead on a vertical route. That's pretty scary for me. Taking a long fall while clipping on a vertical route, I have literally never done that. So that's a 9. Falling unexpectedly outdoors on poor gear. Taking a whipper, that's a really long climb. Getting really run out on gear and falling. Those are things I'm quite scared of, but I'm maybe not quite ready to do in this thing. So go ahead and write each situation down and then scale it from 0 to 10, with 10 being the most frightening for you, 0 being not frightening for you. Now, this is the hard part of exposure therapy, I think. The hardest part is figuring out the tiny steps that are at like a level 1, 2, or 3. This is the part that most people get wrong. They just try to jump into the deep end of their fears, and they get freaked out and re-traumatized. And then they escape, they run away, they avoid that situation. And their brain reinforces that anxiety, which, increases the anxiety response. So when I first started thinking about this goal, I could only imagine facing my fears by taking those long, scary falls. So I wasn't like super motivated to make this video, because I thought, well, the first thing I have to do is just take big, scary falls, and I don't want to do that. But when I started to write down my exposure hierarchy, I felt a lot more confident, because I realized I can totally start by like resting on top rope, watching other people fall, and taking like 1 to 2 foot falls. That's awesome. And so the very first time I went back to the lead wall, I climbed on lead without falling. And that was fine, but it didn't really make me feel less anxious about falling, because I was still avoiding falling. So the next time I went back to the gym, I started taking 1 to 2 foot falls. And honestly, I was dreading it. I didn't want to do it. I was like, maybe I shouldn't make this video. I don't feel like making this video. I don't want to do this anymore. I made myself do it, and I got up there and I took that first fall, and I was like so scared to let go. I was very scared. I was feeling like intense anxiety in my body. I was sweating. I was over gripping. I was breathing heavy. My voice was shaky, and I took a fall, and I was scared, and it felt really scary. And then I took a second one, and that one was pretty scary. I took a third one, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't that bad. And my goal was to take 10 1 to 2 foot falls. So then I did 4, 5, and pretty soon I was like, wow, nothing's happening. I'm falling. This is fine. Fall number 6, fall number 7. And it became like no big deal. Like my anxiety literally went away. Like I wasn't feeling scared anymore. And if I'd stopped after taking 1 or 2 falls, I would have felt just as scared. But by 7, 8, 9, by 10, I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. I got this. So taking those teeny little steps made a huge, huge difference for me. And I even found myself like sitting in the car the next day, just feeling like kind of proud of myself. Like, yeah, I did that. And I don't feel so scared. And I can go back to the gym next time and totally do like 1 foot, 2 foot falls, and I won't even feel that scared again. So I would say after doing that first round of exposures, I felt like significantly less anxiety. Okay, so if you want to successfully overcome your fears, then you need to get really good at making these tiny, tiny steps. A couple examples of this: you can watch other people doing the skill you want to do. You could pretend with play characters facing their fears. You could do imaginal exposure, where you imagine yourself facing your fear and imagining yourself not feeling so scared afterwards. I'll give a bunch more examples later on. But so your goal is, you've written down your fear, you've identified why it's important to you. Now, write down as many tiny steps as you can think of that are going to help you reach that goal. So let me give you some more examples. If you're afraid of dogs, that might include watching movies about dogs, looking at pictures of dogs, looking at a dog through a window, being in a house with a very small dog on a leash, being in a house with a very small dog in the other room, things like that, right? Like very gradual steps that are 1, 2, or 3 on your fear levels. If you're afraid of getting a vaccine, you could watch videos of a needle. You could watch a video of an apple being injected. You could practice touching a needle, or carrying a needle around with you, or putting a needle on your phone screen so that you see it frequently. And the more you're exposed to it, the less scared you'll get of it. If you have social anxiety, you could record yourself talking through an imaginary situation, and then just like listen to that recording. You could practice saying hi to a coworker, and then move up to the next level, like asking a coworker how their weekend was. In addition to like breaking tasks down like I just described, you can also add in support. So in the beginning stages, facing our fears can be a lot easier with a friend or a family member or a therapist to support us. And then over time, we can do things with more independence. And this is really important because safety behaviors can keep us trapped in avoidance. So like, let's say you're afraid of flying, but you always take Valium when you fly. you're not overcoming your fear of flying because you still believe you need Valium to do it, or you have social anxiety and you always have to take a friend with you to be okay. You're not really overcoming your fear of social anxiety, but it can help in the early stages. That's what I'm trying to say. As we're building up our skills and our abilities, it's okay to have support, but later on, you want to make sure that you do things on your own, and that shows your brain that you can handle it. Okay, so as you make your ladder, it's important to just have this mix of tasks that are very mildly anxiety-provoking, somewhat anxiety-provoking, and then some steps that just feel out of reach right now. Okay? And then step 4, which is facing your fears. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to start on the bottom rung of our ladder, and we're going to begin to repeatedly engage in that activity. So I've already started top roping twice a week with friends. The first few times when I rested on the top of that rope, I was pretty nervous about it, but now I'm calm about that. So now I'm going to lead climb for the first time in 6 years, but I'm choosing a route that I most likely won't fall on. Okay, so I led this route. I led climb for the first time. I was quite scared. And honestly, I don't think my fear went down much because I was really gripping and avoiding falling as much as possible. So I don't feel any less scared of falling. But this next session, I'm going to start taking very short lead falls over and over again. So today, my goal is to take 10 2-foot lead falls. And just to explain, counterintuitively, falling over an overhang or like a route that's past vertical is actually safer than falling on a vertical area. So one takeaway is that repetition is super important. So as soon as you're able to, we want to lengthen out the amount of time you're doing that activity or loop the activity. Do it over and over and over again. So if you're afraid of dogs, you might walk by the dog park every day, and you might start spending 30 minutes walking by the dog park, or you might walk by it 3 times in a row. And it's just really important that you stay with the situation long enough for your anxiety to go down, or at the very least that you set a goal based on around a number, like how many times you'll do it or how long you'll do it. Because the last thing you want to do, don't do this. Do not set a goal based on like, I'll do this until I feel scared. Because basically that's just an invitation to your brain to increase your anxiety levels. Like that is literally telling your brain, make me really anxious so I can get out of this. Okay. Whew, here's the last key. We're almost done. After repetition, the other key is you've got to allow yourself to do something while you feel anxious. It's normal to feel anxious or afraid during an exposure. This is where your unwritten rules are going to take over, or going to try to take over. People with anxiety disorders often have a rule that's like, oh, if it makes me anxious, it must be bad. If I feel anxious, it must be dangerous. If I feel anxious, it means I can't handle it. These are stories. These are rules that you made up. You might believe them, but they are not true. Anxiety is not bad. It is uncomfortable. It's unpleasant, but it serves a function. So you have to challenge those thoughts that say anxiety is dangerous. It is not bad. It is not harmful. It's not evidence that something's dangerous. Anxiety is simply uncomfortable. You can do hard things. It's hard. Like this skill is called willingness. Other really cool thing is that when you feel nervous, that emotional energy primes your brain to learn. So as you face your fears and you feel anxious and you survive, your anxiety is going to go down and your confidence will go up. So thanks to neuroplasticity, our brain actually adapts to situations and relabels them as being actually safe. So it's okay. If you feel anxious, do it anyway, right? And this is going to decrease your anxiety over time. Okay, so now I'm coming back to the gym and I'm going to do 10 5-foot falls. I feel a lot more confident taking these falls after falling last week. Like I'm a lot less scared, but I still feel really anxious the first couple times I do it. And now that I've done them, after about the third fall, I'm like, oh, this is no big deal. I'm okay. I can do this. So next time I come to the gym, I'm going to keep repeating. I'm going to keep taking 10 falls every time I come to the gym. And I'm just going to gradually increase the length of those falls or the difficulty of those falls. And I'm going to start doing some things that I've never done before, which is falling while I'm clipping and falling off to the side of my bolts. The more that I have practiced falling, the more falls I've taken, the less scared I feel. I actually feel really proud of myself every time I've done an exposure session, because it was scary every time. And every time by the end of it, I'm not as scared and my confidence has gone way up. So I don't think by the time I have to publish this video, I'm going to get a chance to climb Babelicious, but I am definitely going to check back in on the channel when I do, and I'll send you a video of that. Okay, the last step that's really important with exposure therapy is step 5, repeat. So I've been taking big falls. I've been feeling really confident about it. I'm not just going to assume that I'm cured here. So for this to really work, I just need to keep practice falling over and over again, frequently for a long period of time. I'm planning on coming to the gym all winter and practicing leading and falling at least once a week for 6 months. I'm going to try to take 10 falls every week for 6 months. For exposure therapy to work, you've got to face your fears over and over, daily if possible, and have longer exposures like 60 to 90 minutes multiple times each week. It can also be really helpful to just track your fear levels, and as your numbers begin to drop, you'll feel more confidence and you'll gradually just kind of move up to the next scary item on your ladder. Even if you're not afraid anymore, at some point I'm going to get to where I'm not afraid of falling anymore. It's important to set something up regularly so that you keep facing your fear. So let's say, for example, you're afraid of needles and you get really good at getting your shots or getting your IVs or whatever it is, and it doesn't scare you anymore. You could consider changing the photo on your phone home screen to a picture of a syringe. And that's just going to make it so that every day you just do exposures throughout the day, no big deal. And it's just like staying physically fit. So consistently facing your fears is mental fitness. It's just like building muscles. You build confidence in your ability to do hard things. Okay, step 6, give yourself some credit. You are doing something that's hard for you. Don't compare yourself with others or put yourself down. So each time you face a fear, say out loud or write down, I did something hard today. I'm proud of myself. I can do hard things, or something like that, right? And allow yourself to feel that sense of accomplishment. And when you do, your brain basically releases more dopamine, which is the reward chemical, but it's also the motivation chemical. And that helps you feel more motivated the next time to do it again. And then also just notice, was it as dangerous as you thought it was? Or did you learn anything new? I learned that after 3 or 4 falls, I don't feel so scared anymore. And that makes me feel a lot more comfortable taking more falls. And then the last thing is just make sure to keep track of your progress so that you can look back and see how far you've come. So now as I look at my list, things that used to be like a 4, 5, 6, now they're like a 1 or a 2. I'm getting much better at falling. Definitely made progress. I'm proud of myself for doing that. I'm proud of all of you for the work that you're doing. I'm definitely going to check back in on the channel when I've accomplished my goal to climb Babelicious. And I hope to be able to send you guys a video of me climbing that route. When you intentionally allow yourself to feel the fear and do it anyway, you're going to learn that your anxiety doesn't have to control you. You're going to build up your belief in your ability to do hard things, and you're going to be able to live the life that you value. So, pretty cool stuff. I love it. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.